Happy evening, parents. It's nice to have everybody here today for a different reason. So it feels very happy and good to warmly welcome Miss Archana Dange, who we have amongst us. Miss Dange is an aced storyteller. She is the brain behind the library Bookmark, known to many of us. She is also a part of the Helen O'Grady School of Drama. This evening, she's going to be taking us through the art on how to read books to children. So on behalf of the entire Pallikudam family, we extend a very warm welcome to you, Ms. Dange.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, and very happy to see so many little faces along with the moms and dads here. Hi, everybody. So today's session is going to be like a combined session for parents and for children, right? So children are going to help me to tell parents what is it that they like when they want to listen to a story. Okay. And this is because we don't want mamas and dadas making mistakes when they tell us stories, right? Yes. So you guys will all help me now to tell parents. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. So parents, hi. And what I'm going to share with you today is learnings from my own parenthood, and then also from being associated with children and the library, as well as from the drama academy that we have. So that's really what I'm going to be sharing with you. So I would like to start by asking all of you parents, how do you want to go about this? Do you want me to first start with a story for the children?
Nice one.
And maybe then we can let children go, so that you and we could probably look at some little tips that you may want, or if you have any questions, we could look at that. And so I'd like to kind of get a feel from you. How would you like to take it?
We can go ahead with the story, Ms. Archana, and then we would leave it to you to interact with it, to tell our parents basically on the importance of reading a story, and how do we go about making it interesting for their children and our learners to sit through a story with the different voice modulations and the expressions and so on. So so we would begin with a story so our little ones wouldn't get restless, and then we would follow up with the parents.
Absolutely, yes. So children, tell me now, what story do you want to listen to? Let's have a vote. Who wants to listen to a story about aliens? Give me a thumbs up if you want to listen to a story about aliens. Children? Oh, I'm getting a lot of thumbs ups. Okay, so let me also tell you there's a choice. Or maybe would you like to listen to a story about pirates? Or would you like to listen to a story about a giraffe?
Story about aliens.
Aliens. Okay, give me a dancing thumbs up if you like aliens. Okay, if you like aliens, give me a dancing thumbs up. Okay, those who want the giraffe book, give me a dancing thumbs up. Okay, I have more dancing thumbs ups for aliens. So we'll go with aliens, and all those who wanted the giraffe, in the end, after we speak to parents, if there is time, we'll do quickly one story about the giraffe also. Okay. Okay. So children, how many of you know who aliens are? How many of you know who they are? Yes, Pranaviha. Hi.
Ma'am, aliens are, I think aliens are, they live in space and they live in moon or sometimes on space.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. Oh my God, the parrot fell off. So excited that you said it right. They live on other planets. I mean, not on Earth, because all people who live on Earth look like you and me. But these aliens, they don't live on Earth. And how do you think an alien looks? Anybody knows how an alien looks?
Ma'am, I know, ma'am. Aliens have one or two eyes.
Two eyes. Okay,
Yes.
thanks, Pranavia. Hold on to that thought. Anybody else thinks an alien has two eyes? Has anybody seen an alien?
Auntie,
Yes.
for
Alien.
aliens.
Alien, yes. Do you know how many eyes an alien has?
Eyes.
Yeah, maybe, right?
Yes.
How many of you have seen an alien? Has anybody seen an alien? Real alien, not TV alien. I'm going to tell you a story about somebody who actually saw an alien. Are you ready? Okay, so tell me if you can see this book clearly. Can you see this book? Can somebody tell me what's written on this book? What is this?
It's glaring to me, ma'am.
It's glaring.
Yes.
See if it's better now. Can anybody see
We
this?
are off to.
So, who can read this out for me? What's written on top?
Ma'am, I am only able to see we are off to.
We are off to. Okay, let me just see what you are seeing.
Alien man.
Yeah, can you see the book now?
Yes, yes. Yes. We're off looking for aliens.
Woo! Very good. Very, very good. Okay. So this is a story about a person who's going to look for aliens. And can you see over here? Here, there is a name written. Can anybody read the name? The name is Colin McNaughton. Okay? Colin McNaughton. That's the name of the person who wrote this book. Okay? That's the name of the person who wrote this book. Let's look at the cover. My goodness, what are we seeing on the cover, children? What can you see on the cover?
Of an alien.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, very, very nice. How many aliens can you see?
2 aliens.
3 aliens?
2.
2 aliens?
2 alien eyes.
2 alien eyes. And how many aliens?
3.
3 aliens. Very nice. Very good. Very observant children. Aha, see now this is the first page of the book when you open the book, okay? And over here it says, Colin McNaughton, we are off to look for aliens. And what is this? What is this?
Rocket.
Absolutely. Do you think you need a rocket if you're going to go and search for aliens? Do you think you need a rocket?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, auntie.
Very good. Let's listen to someone else now. I'm going to call out your names. Gautam. Gautam, is that you there?
Tell what?
Gautam, would you like to join them on the journey to search for aliens?
Yes.
And then you'll have to get into the rocket. Are you ready? All of you, do you want to get into the rocket?
Yes.
Okay, get set. Okay, get set to get into the rocket because you're going to go and see all the aliens from so many different planets. Now let's see how the story really begins. Okay. Can you see this person? Who is this person?
Yes.
So this person is the
Colin.
author.
Colin.
Colin, very good. This person is the author of the book, the person who wrote the book, and his name is Colin McNaughton. Okay, look at him, right? And what is it in the hand? What's he holding in his hand?
Remote control.
What's he holding in his hand? Look carefully. Look carefully.
Book.
Yeah, it's the same book. He's holding this book in his hand.
Yes.
He's holding the same book in his hand. And who else can you see in the picture?
Dog. A dog.
Dog, his dog, absolutely. And then the text says, it was Dad's new book, fresh from the printer. Dad writes children's books. He also does all the drawing and the pictures. He says it's hard. It's hard work, although he seems to spend an awful lot of time messing about. Can you see what he's doing here? What is he doing? He is thinking about so many different things. Colin McNaughton is thinking about so many different things. He's thinking about what shall I write the next storybook about? Okay, he's thinking about that. Okay, and this is what his children say. His children say, it was Dad's new book, fresh from the printer. Dad writes children's books. He also does the pictures. He says it's hard work, although he seems to spend an awful amount of time messing about. So do you think Colin McNaughton likes to write stories? And do you think he likes to draw all these pictures also? Yes, he does. Absolutely. Thank you, children. Okay, so what do you see in this picture?
Children reading the book.
Yes, so Dad says, tell me what you think, said Dad, handing us the book. I hope you like it, he says. And the three children take the book and they start reading it. Dad said he was too nervous to watch us read, so he took the dog for a walk. Dad said he was too nervous to watch us read, so he took the dog for a walk. Tell me, why do you think Dad was nervous? Dad is a storyteller and he writes storybooks and he draws all the pictures. And when the book came, he wanted his children to read the storybook, but he's very nervous. What does nervous mean?
Scared.
Kind of scared, right? So
Yeah.
what do you think he was scared about?
That
Why
the
was-
children.
Why was Dad scared, children? Why do you think Dad was scared? Let me ask Satvika. Satvika and Atvika.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Tell me, why do you think Dad was scared or nervous? Who wants to help? Yes, Krishnika, do you want to help? Or let me see who else. Are you there, Drishnu? I can't see you. Who else can I ask? Shweta, do you want to help? Why was Dad nervous? Dad asked his children to read his storybook, and what did he do? He took the doggy out for a walk. Why did he take the doggy out for a walk? Because he was scared. What do you think he was scared about?
He liked the book or not?
Absolutely. I don't know who said that. Who said that, children? Who said that?
Pizza.
Okay, thank you so much. And that's
Thank
really
you,
the right answer. You know, he wrote the book, he worked so hard, he wrote the book, drew all the pictures. And then what if his children said, Ayo, it is so horrible? He was so scared that his children would not like it. That is why he said, okay, bye. I'm taking the doggy out for a walk, okay? He said. And then the children started reading the book. Can you see this? It's the same as the cover page. So this is the first page of the book. Okay, I'm going to read this out for you, okay? We are off to look for aliens. Ugly, bugly aliens. We're off to look for aliens. Wilberforce and I. I'm going to show it to you now. I hope it's clear. Can you see the text? We are off to see the aliens. Ugly, bugly aliens. We are off to look for aliens. Wilberforce and I. So now I'm going to ask you a question. Can you see this picture here? What are they doing in this picture? Can you tell me, somebody? Let me ask. Sukanya. Yes, Sukanya, tell me. What are they doing?
The space.
What are they doing? Where are they going? What?
Milonica.
Okay. Can you tell me what?
Milonica is my name, ma'am.
Milonica. Okay, Milonica. Can you tell me what it is? So what are they doing in this picture?
They're getting ready to blast off to space, ma'am.
Very good. What are they climbing into?
Yes.
What are they climbing into?
A rocket.
Absolutely. They're climbing into a rocket. Amazing. And tell me, the text says, we are off to look for aliens. Ugly, bugly aliens. We are off to look for aliens. Wilberforce and I. Who is Wilberforce? Who is Wilberforce?
Is it a dog?
Yes. Wilberforce is the dog. The dog's name is Wilberforce. So who is going to look for aliens? Who are the two people going to look for aliens?
Wilberforce.
Colin and Wilberforce. Very good. Amazing. Absolutely. So Colin says, we built a little rocket ship. A rocket ship. A rocket ship. We built a little rocket ship. Wilberforce and I. To all our friends, we said goodbye. Said goodbye. We must fly. We blasted off into the sky. Wilberforce and I. Can you see this picture? They are off into space now. Who are the two people you can see?
I could see Colin and Wilberforce.
Yes, Wilberforce and Colin. Okay, so here is the around the moon and to the stars, to the stars, to the stars. We landed on planet Mars. Wilberforce and I. Planet Mars was hot and dry. We looked a Martian in the eye. He said hello and said goodbye. Wilberforce and I. So can you, in this picture, what can you see? An alien. And where, on which planet does this alien live?
March.
On Mars. Very good.
Okay.
On planet Mars, because that is where they went first. And all aliens who live on planet Mars, I don't know if they really are aliens on planet Mars, okay? But in this story, there are, okay? But I don't know whether it's true or not, all right? So if there are aliens that live on planet Mars, they are called Martians. What are they called?
Martians.
Okay.
Martians.
Martians. Very good. Excellent. Here we go around the universe. The universe, the universe. Here we go around the universe. Wilbur Smith and I. When they go around the universe, can you see what they are seeing everywhere? What are they seeing?
All kinds of aliens.
So many different kinds of aliens.
So
Oh my
many
God.
kinds of aliens.
These beings came in so many different sizes, different guises, different sizes. We were in for some surprises, Wilberforce and I. We saw lots of smelly things, never seen on telly things. Telly means television, okay? He says, I've never seen these kind of things on television. Eyeballs in their belly things. Have you seen any alien with its eyes in its stomach? They saw over there. Wilberforce and I. And I'm going to show you some pictures again of these aliens. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Alien. It's got one. Looks like a sun.
Oh my God, so many different colors, so many different shapes and sizes, and so many eyes. Each alien has so many different kinds of eyes. And all these eyes are not on the face all the time. They are in different places only. Such strange creatures. Some were cold and some were hot. Some were tall and some were squat. We were friendly, but they were not. Wilberforce and I. Do you think all these aliens were very friendly? Can you see this picture? What's happening here?
They are attacking. Yeah, tell them.
What's happening?
They are bad aliens.
Yeah, they're getting scared of the aliens. And they are what is Colin and Wilberforce? What are they doing?
Running away.
And where do you think they're running to? Where are they running to? Where do you think they're running to?
To the rocket.
To the rocket. Fantastic. Absolutely right.
Spaceship.
The spaceship. Yes. We weren't welcome anywhere. And we were running out of air. One more planet over there. Wilberforce and I. There we met an alien girl. An alien girl. An alien girl. We met a lovely alien girl, Wilberforce and I. I fell in love and took her home. I took her home. We blasted off and took her home, Wilberforce and I. Okay, so whom did they find on the last planet?
Young girl.
A girl. Oh, wow. And then what did they do with that girl? They brought her back to Earth. with them, right? We landed safely. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. A little bump, but all okay. Wilberforce, the alien girl, and I. So tell me, children, how many people went to space? How many people went to space in the first page? How many people went to space?
2.
Who were the 2 people? Colin and Wilberforce, right? And how many people came back, children? How many people came back?
3.
Who were the 3 who came back?
The alien girl. Then
Very good. Thank you so much. And
giraffe stories. Yay!
and they say, we were very happy ever after, full of laughter ever after. We were happy ever after. In a whirl, my alien girl, what a joy, a baby boy. Then another baby brother. And of course, Wilberforce and I. So can you see this family now? Can you see the family? So Colin and his alien girl, and then there are babies. How many babies?
2.
Are those babies like other babies? Do you think this looks like your baby brother or your baby sister?
No.
Are you sure they look different?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then that's the end of this story. But let us see what happens. Dad comes back from his walk and he asks his children, well, did you like the story? All the 3 children say, it's brilliant, Dad, said my brother. But there's a problem. What sort of problem? Said Dad. Well, said Mom carefully, it's a great book and kids will surely like it. But it's the story. Dad said, what's wrong with the story? We agree it's a nice story and everybody likes aliens and all that stuff. But who's going to want to read a true story? What does this mean?
Mama, they have 4 hands.
So who is this alien girl? Who's the alien girl? It's actually Colin's wife. And who are the children who are reading the storybook? It is Colin's children. Those 2 alien babies who were born. Okay. So Colin had written a story about himself and his wife. And the wife is, who's the wife?
The alien girl.
The alien girl. And who are the 2 alien babies?
His children.
His children. Absolutely, absolutely. Yay. That was the story about how they all went to look for aliens. Did you like the story, children?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so now I have an activity for you. I want you to take a paper and a pencil and I want you to draw an alien for me. While I'm going to talk to your parents for some time, I want you to go and draw an alien and color it. Okay, and after I finish talking to your parents, I want you to show me your alien and what colors you've used and what shapes, what sizes. And then if there is time, I want you to say a few things about your alien, okay? Something special about your alien. Maybe you can tell me which planet you think he lives on, or whether he's hot or cold, or whether he's big or small, or whether he's a smelly thing?
Ma'am, my parents just went out to
Oh, you've already drawn an alien. Very nice, Daksh. Thank you. The rest of you go and draw your alien. And please, Daksh, you take time now and you color it. Okay? Okay, children, who's saying something? I can hear somebody saying ma'am. Yes, Sukanya.
Ma'am, it's Milonika, ma'am.
Sorry, darling.
Ma'am, my parents has went out, so they left me on grandparents home, ma'am. So I called
Melonika?
my parents, ma'am.
Melonika, it is okay. You can keep your video off and you can continue drawing the alien, okay? So Archana auntie will talk to you later, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, good.
Okay, children, so find a different space, children. Go and sit a little far away from your mom or your dad and draw your alien, because now I'm going to talk to your mom and dad. Okay? So you can go a little further away and sit maybe on the table with your paper and your pencil and some crayons maybe. Let's try and see what imagination you have and how you think you're going to draw the alien. What kind of alien are you going to draw? I'll be very, very interested to see. Thank you so much, parents, for your patience. Looking forward to, well, I'd like to actually start by asking you if there are questions that we can look at. I have sort of gathered all my thoughts into a small presentation, which I thought I would share with you, which are basically points for myself. So I don't forget things that I want to say to you. But before we go into that, if you have any questions, we could start with that.
Parents to type out the questions on the chat box.
Oh, yes, you could do that as well. Could I get permission to share my screen? So I think just saying that, why are we all so worried about our children, being able to read? And it is only because, the reason we want them to learn to read is because that's when they start becoming more independent, and they start reading other things that they may want, they may be interested in. And of course, because everything as they grow up is all about textbooks and notebooks and library and reference. So the more they are able to read on their own, the more independent they become in terms of what they are reading and where they can go and look for information. And to that extent, they become independent learners. So I think that is the reason why it is so important for us to make sure that all children very, very quickly learn how to read and become very comfortable with reading on their own. So the journey always begins with the parent reading to the child. And the more we do it, the more it becomes a habit, the more the child will like and ask for such more experiences of either the parent reading or the child reading, or independently the child reading. So that's what I'm going to discuss. I'm going to just take you through the basic points, and then I'd look also at your questions that you've put into the box and see how best we can address those. So this is it, when you say reading, what are you really looking at? You're saying that our children should definitely be able to identify letters. They should be able to make the connection that few letters together make a word. They should be able to pronounce that word. Maybe they start with using phonetics, and maybe some of them start with trying to spell the word. But at some stage, you know, especially the most often used words need to start becoming easy to read by just looking at it. Children really need to, after they read the word, they need to understand the meaning of the word. That then would lead them into sentences. So they need to start reading sentences and understanding the meaning of the sentence. After that comes the context. So, you know, in when you read a sentence, when you're early, when you are beginning, your whole concentration is on that sentence only, and the victory is is when you can read that whole sentence. But what we really want is not only that the child reads the sentence, but the child reads the sentence in the context of whatever the rest of the paragraph is all about. So that is very important, because that is what helps the child to comprehend, to understand. And therefore, you know, it's important the child understands what happened before this sentence and what's going to happen after this sentence. So these kind of things, you know, that is why when you tell stories to your children with a book in your hand, it is still very important for you to ask them things and communicate with them. It's not just about reading the storybook. It's also about wanting to know, what are they thinking about all of this? Is this making sense to them? Or what perspectives are they using to look at this story? So it's very, very exciting, because children really think very differently. And something that you thought may not be the same as what they are thinking. And it's very, very good to ask them you know, questions in the middle of every, you know, whenever there is a chance for you to get them to tell you what they think is going to happen next, or what has happened now. You know, so this also gives you an idea of how much they are understanding of what they are reading. So that's why using questions in the middle of the story is really very important. This helps you to understand whether the child is putting everything in context. And then, of course, the most important thing is that, you know, they have to understand the whole narrative. It's not just about understanding one sentence, it's about understanding the whole narrative. So these are the different, like, steps, you can say, that we need to be aware about when we say, I want my child to be a reader. Your child will not be a reader if these steps are not clear for the child. So at any given point, if there is a problem that the child is having, that will retard the child, or that will stop the child's progress in the path of reading. That will slow the child down. So if our child is reading less or non-fluently, or has taken a lot of time to progress, we need to figure out where is the problem. Is it that the child is not able to identify letters? Is it that the child does not know how to put all the letters together to make a word? Is it that he doesn't know how to pronounce these words? Or when he says the word, is it that it's not making a picture in his brain, which means that the child is not understanding or comprehending? So we really need to go back to each of these steps and say, where is the problem? You know, so that's when we realize, okay, now how can I help you? If I know that you are not able to understand the meaning of the word, then how can I help you? Maybe I can show you more pictures for each of the words. You know, so that's when, you know, you try to start looking at how you can help, so that the child covers up the gap and then becomes more proficient at reading. Any questions thus far, or may I continue? Let me open the chat box so I can keep looking at your questions if there are any. Okay, so the next one is about something I think all of us know, that if we want our children to be good readers, it has to become a habit. And how does it become a habit? It becomes a habit when you set aside a time for reading every day with your child. So it's not magic, it will not happen overnight. But if every day you find some time in the day or in the night when you and the child together can read a book and make it a ritual, you know, that's when it really becomes a habit. I think all of us know that when children are small, especially if they are below the age of 10, 12, all of us are born with something called mirror neurons. And it is these mirror neurons that help us to learn. When children are small, they look and they learn. So if you have an elder child and you have a second child, you will see that the second child looks at the elder child and learns so much faster than when the first child was growing up. And that's because of these mirror neurons. These mirror neurons, the main job they have is to imitate. Okay, so that is how a child learns how to speak as well. They listen to you and they imitate you. And that's how they learn to even walk. They look at you walking and they want to walk as just like you do. And they try to imitate. So the same thing with reading. If you are a reader, if your family has the habit of reading, you are always seen around with a book in your hand, or there is a small little library in the corner of every room, maybe in your house. That's when the child really picks up this habit of reading. It becomes something that is very, very, it's a done thing. It's not anything different or anything new. And that's what is very, very important for us to figure out a way to build small home libraries for our children. And secondly, make sure that we use these libraries ourselves and for our children. So it's not just about, okay, every day at 7 o'clock, I'm going to read a storybook to you. It's not just about that. It's also about, when am I reading for myself? Do I have a storybook to read every day? So then the child says, okay, Mama, first you read your story to me, then you read your storybook. So the child knows that everyone in the family reads, and that's very, very important. Another thing is, children love storybooks. They love repetition. So many children will want the same book told over and over again, and that is normal. So please go ahead with it. Don't stop and say, how many times you want to do the same thing? Let us do something different now. Go ahead and do the same story as many number of times. There's a certain reason why there's a repetition of stories that the children love. There's a familiarity that is building, and the child is trying to get fluent with the story. And very soon you will find that the child is so fluent that even without looking at the words, the child is able to tell you the story, which is a very good thing, because the child is now telling you that the child has comprehended, the child has understood, the child is making a connection between the picture and what the story is saying. So all these are very, very important parts of language development. So even if the child wants you to repeat a book, please go ahead and repeat it. However, use your discretion. And when you think the child is ready to move on, say that, yes, we will first read this storybook because it's your favorite storybook. And then I want to read another story out for you today, and then go on to the next storybook that you want to introduce. So find a way that, which works. Sometimes the opposite works, where we say, first I'll tell you this story, and after the story is over, I will tell you that. So either one, whichever one works with your child. And slowly, as your children are familiar with this particular story or this particular storybook, it's important for you to then introduce maybe another level of storybook, more sentences maybe. Today I used a book that had a rhyme. So that's another thing that you can do. Children love rhymes. So it's something that you can introduce. And very important for you to put your finger under each word as you read. I think this all of you already know, but this is how the child begins to create images of the word, in the mind. So every time you are able to put your finger under the word, the child also looks at that word and is able to make a mental picture of that word. And that's how the child, becomes more and more familiar with the words that we are introducing. The last point is also very important. Many of our fairy tales and storybooks written so many years ago, some of them have stereotypes, the wicked step mom, and all about how the mom is, the main job the mother does always seems to be about cooking and cleaning and all of that. So there are many of these stereotypes you will find in the storybooks, and how, I think you must take the freedom to change certain stories if you feel, and discuss these with your children as they grow up. I think that's something you can really do as well. Um, and we do a lot of storytelling in school as well, and as parents you would do it at home, and there will be a difference between the two. When you as a parent does it at home, I think there is a lot of element of fun that you need to bring into it. You are not doing it for any particular reason. You are doing it maybe just for your child to listen to another story, get familiar with another idea, maybe the character. You're doing it because you want maybe the child to learn a moral over there. So you are looking at it from a very different perspective. And as a teacher in school, I would probably look at the same story for maybe teaching the child vocabulary or teaching the child spelling, these kind of things. So when you as a parent tell your child a story, definitely please do not sacrifice the fun element. Do not concentrate so much on the spelling or the vocabulary or the grammar that the child, starts hating listening to stories from you. So bring in the element of fun, bring in the element of conversation while you are talking to the child. Make it a very intimate thing, a time when you and your child together are spending time looking at something or understanding something or exploring a new storybook. So this kind of a thing goes a very long way in building good bonds, emotional bonds with your children. And if you can carry on, even when the child is in the third or the fourth standard, carry this habit on even at that time, it would be really, really good. At that time, it's not about teaching the child anything, because by then the child would have become an independent reader, but it is about keeping that bond going and strengthening that. Most parents use the time just before the child goes to bed to read to their child. And that's again because that is the time when most children's defenses are at the lowest. That's the time they are willing to listen to something you want to say. They are willing to share something that happened to them. So it's a very tender moment psychologically. And that is the reason why most parents choose just before bedtime, when all the energy is drained and only the emotions are talking, as the right time to link with their children with storybooks. Communication, I think this is something I've already spoken to you about, but important to keep it going and question asking. Sometimes we get lost as to what kind of questions to ask. So it depends on what kind of book you're reading together with your child. If you have chosen something, let's say, about aeroplanes, or if you're reading a book about dinosaurs, they would be classified as non-fiction. And you could ask questions like, what do you see? And what do you think about this? Why do you think this happened? What new things did you learn from this book? Can you see, for example, if it's the dinosaurs and you have the meteor destroying the earth, and therefore that maybe that is what killed the dinosaur. So you can have a discussion about that. Do you really believe this is what happened? Do you think it'll happen again? Have you ever seen a meteor coming? What do you think it'll be like if a meteor hits us now? So these kind of things are things that you can look at. And when you're doing fiction, it's more about the person or the character that the child is following in the book. And what did the character do? What is she doing now? What do you think she's going to do next? And then, of course, what do you think you would have done if you were in this place? And which part do you like the best? These kind of questions work a lot. So talking is very, very important when you are telling stories. So it's just not about opening the book, reading the story, closing the book and going to bed. It's not about that. It's definitely about talking about it, and asking children to narrate it back to you sometimes is also a very, very good thing. So yeah, there's a question. I mean, there's an example given here of what is an open-ended question. So when you want to ask your child, did you have a good day at school today? You will hardly get a reply. But if you say, what was the most interesting thing you did today, then you would probably get something going. So if you know what children are doing in school, pick storybooks that will help them to understand those concepts better. So if you know that, for example, children in school are maybe working on something related to plants or germination, then look for storybooks that are also about, about the seed and how it germinates and how it grows into a big tree maybe, or, something like that. So it'll help the child to relate to what's happening in school as well. It will help them to be more familiar with the vocabulary that even teachers use in school, for example. Library. I think this is a dying breed of, spaces in our city. But I think it's very, very important for all our children to be, to access a very good library. I know all of us love buying books for our children, and we have small home libraries in our own homes. That's a good thing. But it's also a very good thing to get our children used to a library. As they grow up, they are going to be asked to do more and more research on their own. So this is the, the experience of going to a library, choosing your book. There are so many books. So why have you chosen this book? How much time do you spend? How do you pick the right book? So all these things are very good things to learn when you are small. So if you can get children to become members of a library, nothing like it. Today, of course, the library is not just about, about books. It's also about a lot of digital material, and our children are slowly getting used to all of that. Home library, I think I've said this. In this, I've also talked about book swapping. Again, something we used to do earlier when we were younger, but these days doesn't seem to be happening too much. So instead of all of us buying the same books, we decide to buy different books, and then we exchange and read each other's books. So this is a good way of building a home library and making sure children have enough material to go around. Asynchronous. So it's not only when you have a book in your hand that your child is learning. Today we have this whole concept of human library, right? So a human library is when your child goes to meet another person and learn something from that person. That person tells him his own life story, maybe, or about his occupation, about the work that he does, and your child learns from there as well. So, it's not only when you are present or your book is present in your hand, but even when the child goes to a supermarket, he could learn from, one of the people in the supermarket who is probably doing something and talking to the child about the work that he's doing. So the concept of being able to learn from anywhere is, what we want our children to imbibe. And reading automatically sort of moves into writing. And today, I think everyone's talking about, language learning, using the whole language approach, where we don't really correct them too much. We don't expect them to be correct every time, whether it is spelling or whether it's grammar. The most important thing is that they are able to put their thought onto paper, and then slowly we give them their corrections, and they are able to, the more they read a good English or whichever language, that particular language, the more they themselves will be able to construct their sentences better. And always have these things handy. You never know which is that moment when the child progresses from reading to writing. Children write, the more the children read, the more they have their imaginations running in their heads, and they want to put it down on paper and express themselves. So keep this always handy. You never know when it's going to come into use. And of course, it's a lot of fun to write. So make sure you have small things to do, encourage children to write. An exercise like what we have just done now is giving the child, the task of drawing an alien. We could extend that to asking them to write the name of the alien. So what is the name that you want to give the alien? And then maybe write 2 or 3 sentences about that alien. You know, what does the alien like? What does the alien dislike? How is he? Is he fat or thin, or tall or short, or is he hot or cold? Or, you know, so we can ask them to do all these little things. This brings in the fun element, and at the same time, of course, they are putting their thoughts onto paper, which is nothing but writing. And yeah, there are some examples given here about, you know, leave small notes for your children on the fridge, maybe, or on in their lunch boxes, and ask them to write back to you. Letter writing used to be such a wonderful thing, which we've all given up for some reason or the other. If you can encourage children to write letters or postcards, and post it to people who are not nearby, maybe grandparents or someone else, I think it's a very nice way of bringing thought onto paper, and it will help children to become better writers. Skipping this, yes, and not that you have to wait for your child to be all of 6 years old before you start reading storybooks. Children love books right from the beginning. They like the sound of your voice. They look for the sound of your voice. The more familiar you are with the child is with the sound of your voice, the more the child listens when the child starts growing up and you want to do different things with the child. So please start reading at as early an age as you can. Don't worry whether the child is understanding or not understanding. Make it a ritual and read to the child. I know there are some of us who read to the child even when the child is inside our stomach, but that may be, maybe that works. But at least after the child is born, I think it's important to start reading, however small they are. And in the beginning, we all begin with the touch and feel books and then slowly go on to the story books. Babies love to hear the sound of your voice, and they are very observant of any picture that you show them. They are very eager to touch things. So if you have touch and feel books, they are really something that, they will enjoy. And one thing that we think, instead of me reading, let me put it on, let me put a video on, and the child will listen to it from there. Well, that doesn't work, because children very rarely, when they are younger, they cannot make out digital sound as clearly as human voice. So the more human voice they hear, the better they learn how to identify sound and then put the sounds together to make words. So make sure our children, our babies, have a lot of human voices and not just digital noise all the time. All the senses, children love to use, this is the sensory motor stage, they say. So children love touch and feel books. They love all the sounds that they can hear. So and today's world, we get a lot of these kind of books, which will be very nice. Very important, of course. So don't just do your own thing. One eye on the mobile phone and the other eye on the storybook. Not done. So when we are working with our children, when we are telling our children stories, use this time to build a relationship with the child. Don't take your relationship for granted. I'm the mother after all. I'm the father after all. It's not about that. Relationship is about talking and about sharing feelings and, sharing life experiences. So that's the thing that you're going to do by, during the story time. So please keep this in mind, that eye contact is very important. The more you share with your child now when they're small, the more they are going to be willing to share with you when they start growing up. The more you talk to your baby, the more your baby is going to try and talk to you. So that's something all of us know. So here, respect your child's preferences. Don't insist that you want to read only your favorite storybook. Your child's book is also very important. Remember, it's always a part they do, which is like a two-way thing. So it's not only about you, it's about you and the child. So have various ways of reading. Today, I will read to you. Tomorrow, you will try and read it to me. I will read this page, you read this page. Or I will do this, you turn the page. So give always the child a task to do in the storytelling that you are doing with the child. And it is okay to interrupt if the child wants to ask you something, or the child wants to tell you about something. Don't stop, because conversation is very important. Yeah, so this I think I already told you. They do love repetition. They do tend to get stuck on a book. It is normal and we should go with it. And I'd like to end by telling you that if you want to raise a reader, we have to be a reader. So the more we read, the more our children read. And I'd like to stop here and see if you guys have so anything that you want to ask. Good library. So guys, I think there are some very good libraries in Coimbatore. Bookmark is a good library. We have good books for children up to the age of 8 for sure. Above 8, we haven't really built up too many books. But up to the age of 8, we really have a very good book collection. And we have wonderful activities that we organize for children during the weekends to help them improve vocabulary, comprehension. So, we are not only a library, but we are also an activity center. So that's something. And now you have a lot of digital access to books as well. The American Library, for example, has come out with this very exciting offer of a child's membership for a whole year for 400 rupees. And they have beautiful books for children, which you can access online. I know it's not the same as, touch and feel of a book, but if you think that's exciting, I think there's never a dearth of material. It's always there. Today, Kindle is there, Amazon is there. You have so many avenues to getting books, and Kindle offers so many of these books at half the price, 1/4 the price. So I think, accessibility to storybooks is not the issue. The issue really is how much time are we willing to spend with the child and the story. So I think that's where we really need to figure out.
Ma'am, what's the name of the digital platform you said? American?
So I will share this details with Shweta, ma'am, so
Okay.
that she will be able to pass it on to you.
Okay.
The American Center in Chennai, where you go to get all your American visas, right?
Yeah.
That's the place. They have a very lovely library, the American Central Library, and
Okay.
a huge section for children. So
Okay.
they are offering right now, because of all this, COVID and everything, they are offering a membership for children for the whole year for 400 rupees. And you are able to access all their storybooks online. So
And the other one you said was Bookmark, is it?
yeah, Bookmark. I will leave the address of Bookmark also with Shweta to share with all of you.
The only thing about digital library is that you have to see the screen. You can't really.
Yes, I know. And that is right now, until we reopen the world again, I think we are stuck with that aspect of it. However, there is a lot of material even for parents over there. So if you are interested in reading, or you want to know more about how to do things with your children, it's got a good, a lot of stuff that you can learn from over there. So it's a good access point for all of us. Good storybooks, and you can download them, and you can use them with your children. Maybe you can look at activities that they have at the back of the book and make those activity worksheets for your children to do if you don't want them to do digitally. So all of those options are some things you can kind of try out. There was another question. Let me see what it was. Yeah, library. I will share those details. We would like some storybook suggestions with junior explorers from class support group every week. Okay. Not very sure I understand. So junior explorers is what age group are they, like below 6 years?
They are between 2 and 3.
Oh, between 2 and 3. Okay. So we'd like for them from class support group every week. Okay. So 2 and 3. So 2 years, 3 years, when it comes to storybooks and reading, you go more by the level of reading the child is at. It does not have anything much to do with the age he's at. So a child who is 3 years old may be able to read more than another child who is 3 years old if the child has had more exposure. So it really depends on how much exposure the child has had with storybooks and stories and words and sentences. So it's a trial and error thing. You have, if you really look at the back of every book, there's generally a space where they would have told you which level this book is at. I'm trying to see if any of these books have it. Most of the Indian books that you read, you have Tulika Publishers, you have Pratham Books, you have Katha. All these guys, at the back of every book, they will write and tell you which level of reading this is. Is it level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4? And when you try the level 1 and you see that your child is pretty able to read this quite easily, then you slowly take the next level book the next time you want to do a session with the child. So this is how you know what level your child is at, and you can keep challenging the child as you go into the next level. So that's something you can look at. If you want story books that are more Indian in their approach, I really would recommend Tulika books, because they are very, very beautiful stories. For the 2 to 3 year olds, you have we have a huge collection in Bookmark, and I'll be very happy to share all the titles with you. I'm sure you must be